Welcome to Daybreak. I'm your host, Nicholas Sadowski. We have two amazing guests, a great game, and just a fantastic show today, so thank you so much for joining us. As you may know, last week we did have a show, and for those who are wondering why it wasn't posted on YouTube, it's because my iPad died in the last couple minutes of Alex's interview, and the show was lost, which is really unfortunate because I really like that show. But I've been able to get Alex back for this show today. And we have a new guest from Norwell, Massachusetts, so I can't wait for you to meet both of them. If you haven't met Alex before, he is from Dover, Massachusetts, and Caroline here is from Norwell, Massachusetts. In other news, Daybreak Stories is going to be launching November 1st, which is a Sunday. I'm 95% sure that's a Sunday. And I have released a couple of new schedules on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you want to go take a look at it, please go take a look at our YouTube channel, Daybreak Star Nicholas Sadowski, or our website, which I will put in an Instagram post so you guys can take a look at that. But that's all the information I have for you from Daybreak. Now we have our first guest. She is, again, from my town of Norwell, Massachusetts. Person and a very smart person, actually. Please welcome Caroline Scalzulli to Daybreak. Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm fantastic. So, Caroline, you are from Norwell, and you are in a number of my classes, and you're actually in my cohort, which is nice.
Yes.
And I want to talk about AP, because not a lot of people that I know take AP, besides me and you. I actually don't know the rest of the people in the class's names. But when you were given the opportunity to take AP, were you skeptical, or were you like, hey, this is a good opportunity to get a report and I'd be looking at a transcript? What was the sort of methodology behind that?
I think I was skeptical about it because, I wasn't sure if I could handle all the extra workload. But then, my history teacher last year, described me to, and I was like, that sounds like something I would want to do. And so, I signed up for it, and then after doing it this year, I was just like, wow, this is what I was looking for. It's going to be harder, it's going to be stressful, but, that's okay.
Yeah, and I'm assuming that you love history.
I don't love history, but I mean, yeah, I guess so.
You like enough to do it, right?
Yeah.
Is AP just the history side of European history? Is that something that you really like, or would you be willing to go into AP US history next year, or AP Gov the year after that?
I'm definitely interested in the government side of history, just how everything is run, politics and stuff.
Right.
Because I feel it's really important to be part of those discussions, and I know I don't really want to talk about politics, but it's important to at least have a background for it. Right. Just if you were to ever be asked.
Yeah, and it's good to know the history of things, and just because when you vote, it's good to have that knowledge of you can see this candidate has promised something that's already been promised and has fulfilled, and you can go look at different things. And if one does not look at history, it will repeat. It's not the exact quote, but with AP Euro, do you find it challenging, the workload, or do you find it manageable with your other classes?
It's definitely manageable. Obviously, I was out for a week, so I mean, I have a ton of makeup work to do, but that's just me right now. But other than that, I think it's manageable.
That's good. And you like your teacher?
Yes.
Mr. Willis, I will say, very intense. Mm-hmm. Very loud. But it's entertaining, I would say.
Yeah. But I mean, honestly, that's me, so I don't really care.
When you first started taking AP and you stepped into the class for the first time on Thursday, were you very nervous? Were you trying to cope with the worry of it, or were you just I got this, I can do this, let's go?
I was sort of just I can do this, let's go. Because I mean, if I let my mind slip into the I'm nervous sort of mindset, it's sort of just panic mode. But right. I was sort of just you know what, I've got this, it's fine. everything will be okay.
I will tell you that I was extremely nervous before. Like, I was in that class and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna fail this thing. Um, and that is the only class that I've had that has required summer work besides English reading.
Oh yeah.
You. How was the summer reading with the Henry Kissinger book?
Oh, it was really interesting. I most of my answers were so just like not okay, like they were not good at all. But because like my mind was just like not in like history mode, I'd say.
Right.
It was sort of just still in summer mode. So I mean, it was a little interesting, but it was a scramble to get it done because I procrastinated so hard.
I did the exact same thing.
So it was like the last week before school started, and I was just like doing it like speed work, and it was just not okay. But I got it eventually, and that's all that matters.
Pages long, and they're big, like they're big pages.
Yeah. And I was just like, oh my gosh, my answer's too long. Like, are they too short? I was so scared, but honestly, I think it's okay because he hasn't like said anything, or I don't know.
Well, I'm sure you did. I'm sure you did perfectly fine. I mean, if you're an AP and you're allowed to be an AP, I'm sure you did.
Yeah. I mean, I think I did okay, but it's gonna be interesting when I get them back.
And our last topic on AP, then I'll switch to music. We just recently had a AP chapter 2, which was on the Renaissance. Not my most interesting part of history, but how do you feel that test went? Do you think it was on par with the course? Do you think it was harder? Do you think it was easy? How do you think it went?
Well, it's really funny that you say that because I still haven't made it up.
Oh, right, you haven't. Yeah, because you weren't here.
Yeah.
Okay, so then some heads up. If you've studied it, it'll be fine.
Okay. So I was talking with my friends who took it last year, who were juniors, and they were just like, "Yeah, Mr. Willis doesn't care. He'll give you the test with like 2 months later. It's fine." And I was like, "Cool,
Well,
love it."
It's all that time to study for it because it's really not a hard test if you just know your history.
Yeah, I wasn't really worried before, so I'll be fine.
Now,
I hope.
you'll do perfectly fine. Switching from AP to music, you play the saxophone in the jazz ensemble in my class. And when did you start taking saxophone?
I started in like 4th grade when everyone was like starting with the music with like other instruments in band. I started on alto, so it's like the smaller one. Okay. And then in middle school, my teacher was just like, "Hey, do you want to try out tenor?" And I was like, "Yeah, I do." And so I tried out tenor, and then I got my own over the summer, 2 summers ago. And so, yeah, I've just been playing.
That's great. And I've heard you perform because I wasn't in the jazz ensemble, but I was in the jazz workshop. And I got to stay for the rest of it. And you sound really good with the rest of the band and everything. It sounds great.
Thank you.
What does your practice regimen look like on a saxophone? Because my brother plays the tenor saxophone, and he plays a lot, and it's very loud and very distracting. So what's your practice regimen like?
My practice regimen is like kind of chill. I feel like it's more chill than it should be. But so I warm up a little bit for probably like 10 minutes, and then like do some scales, and then do some rep. Whatever like I feel like I need to work on, and then I just like after I feel like I've done what I need to work on since I have it out, and if I have like the stamina to do it, then I'll just like mess around and play like fun songs that I know.
I do the same thing. I'm just like, I start out, I'm like, okay, I need to practice the repertoire. I'm like, okay, first song, and let's do some Paul McCartney, and I just like go off.
Yeah, I get so distracted so easily, and then I'm just like, ooh, let's do this. I'm just like, no.
With playing the saxophone, was there like a learning curve that came with it that's like the one thing that you had trouble with, like actually playing it?
Oh yeah, totally. Like I feel like there was sort of a transition from middle school, because it was like big band stuff, to jazz because it's just so incredibly different. And like I did jazz band in middle school, but like it was totally different from what I'm doing right now. So that transition from middle school like big band stuff to like from like orchestra stuff to like jazz ensemble, and plus like the transition from like being with all my friends in the band to being with like two of my friends and all seniors last year was really scary. But I mean, I got through eventually.
And I know that you just said that you switched from soprano alto to tenor.
Yeah.
Was that difficult, or is it because of the same instrument and sort of similar so that it was sort of manageable?
It was really manageable because like it's the same keys and same notes and everything, but it's just like it's in a different key, so like you have to switch from that. But like other than that, it's really easy. But honestly, it's easier key wise anyway.
That's good. I look at a saxophone and I'm like, how do you?
Yes, it's so like after a while, after you've been playing it for multiple years, like you sort of just like feel the notes. I don't know if that makes any sense, but you sort of just like know where it is after a while.
I do the same thing with the drums. After a while, after I know my drums, I can close my eyes and still hit all the drums.
Yeah.
My brother let me play a saxophone once, and the mouthpiece is like I don't understand how to really make sound come out of it.
Oh yeah, it's like the vibration of I don't know something.
I think it's the reed.
Yeah,
doing something.
Reeds are so dumb.
Did you, before you went into the saxophone, did you have other instruments that you were interested in, or is it just like I want to play the saxophone?
Before I started playing saxophone, no, but after I started playing saxophone and after I started like understood how to read music, I was like, oh, I want to play other instruments, and so, I play ukulele because I'm quirky like that. I play piano. Well, I don't play piano. Like, I'm not very good. But because I'm self-taught in piano, but like I can sort of play piano. Like I know how to. I don't know. And then, yeah, that's pretty much it. And I mean, I can like fiddle my way through other instruments, but those are like the main ones.
That's good. And with playing the saxophone, the reed and everything, would you then think it would be easy to be able to transition from like a saxophone, where it's the reed and the keys and everything, to like a clarinet, which is the same thing, just it's like a soprano sax, just not that. That's a bad example.
I never thought about it. Like, I guess because there was never a need for me to transition from both of those. But I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. But like, I don't know. Because like, there have been times in jazz, like there was a couple times last year when there was like written clarinet solos in the tenor music, like, so the tenor player would like double up. So I mean, I would be interested maybe, but I don't know. I guess if there's not a need, then I wouldn't be like inclined to.
When you switched from middle school to high school, well, went from middle school to high school, and you stopped doing the big band stuff and you started doing the jazz, you said that was the most difficult part of it because you weren't used to that and you had to sort of get used to jazz. Mm-hmm. Is there still a part of jazz that you're still getting used to now, or have you sort of gotten everything all?
I'm sort of still getting used to like soloing and improv because it's just like you have to switch between so many like keys and scales and stuff. And I can't wrap my head around that. Like, I don't know. It's just so confusing and I still don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
So whenever we're like running like solos and stuff, I'm always just like, I freeze up because like I'm so nervous around doing that. But other than that, pretty much everything's fine.
Yeah, I did piano in last year and I switched to drums this year, and like I can't. Soloing is like ridiculously annoying because one, you have to like improvise in a way that actually makes it sound good and not just playing random notes. And then when you switch keys, it's like I can't remember any of it, which is why I switched to drums. I don't have to know any keys or anything.
Yeah.
But like it is understandably difficult, and that is something that even like grown-up players have trouble with. So you're not. I think you're doing a great job with the saxophone.
Thank you.
We are playing currently like 5 different pieces of repertoire. Forgot their names. Oh, I remember. Okay. Adam's Apple, Blue Train, and Maiden Voyage, and then the 2 practice ones. And you said that your practice regimen, you spend a little time on the actual repertoire, but then you sometimes get sidetracked. Which piece of repertoire do you practice the most?
I'd say I focus on like the improv sections of kind of all of them. Just like focusing on like, oh, what scale would I play here and what scale would I play here? Just so I can like nail it down now so I can just like play freely like in class or something.
Right.
But then I focus on like the main progressions of Sharknado, which is like one of the bigger band ones, and just like the main progressions of all of them, just to make sure I have those down.
Right.
Or like the main melodies.
That's good. And I just forgot what I was going to say. You said that you work on the improvisation parts of it.
Yeah.
Suggestion: what if you were to pre-write a solo that fit in the thing, and then just learn that as if it's part of the piece, but it's your own notes, and then you can rehearse that in class, and then you get better and better at that. So then you get into the mindset of it stopped being improvisation and starts being actual written notes, and you can probably get better that way.
I mean, maybe, but kind of takes away from it, and it's sort of just like improvisation is more just like go with the flow and like do what you want and sort of just like express yourself in the moment. And so I feel like I would want to do that rather than pre-write it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I mean, pre-writing a melody is like, or pre-writing a solo is like, it gives you an idea of what you want to do.
Right.
So you could always like branch out from that.
Yeah.
So that's good.
And last question today. What has been your favorite thing to play, not just this year, but of all time? Like, what's your favorite all-time piece of music to play that you played or are still playing now?
Oh, last year we played a song called Mamacita. So good. I like will like play out with my friend last year, and it was so good. It was so fun. I think that was the most fun piece I had last year. I forget who it's by, but Mamacita was so good. And we would always, before we would practice it, we'd always just be like, Mamacita. And it always be like so fun and such like a good moment.
Why did you like that song so much?
Because it was just sort of like a Latin-y sort of vibe. And it was sort of just like I don't really know how to describe it. But then there was just like this intro and like a play out that I shared with one of my good friends. And so doing that with her was fun. It was like the melody, but like it was just the two of us. And it was really fun to practice that together. And then when we actually performed it, me and her doing it together was just like such a electric moment. And it was so cool. And then yeah, I just really liked it. It was just so smooth. So good.
Yeah, we're doing a Latin song now, and I absolutely love it. It's so fun. But that's all the time we have for this interview. I'd like to thank you so much for coming.
All right.
Great. It was a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you for having me. Oh my gosh. So thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed it. And if you want me to come back, I absolutely will. It's so fun. And I'm so sorry for all the noise coming from downstairs. Bye. Thank you.
All right, that was my interview with Caroline Scalzulli. Love the last name. But we talked about EP and music in that sort of 20 minutes, and it's very interesting because my brother plays the tenor saxophone, so it's interesting to hear the perspective of someone else who plays it and their sort of troubles or interesting stories of it. And it was kind of interesting, and I hope you enjoyed it. And as I said at the beginning of this show, last week we did tape a show, but my thing died, so I couldn't really post it on YouTube. But we have gotten our second guest from that back today, again, as our second guest. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome my good friend, Mr. Alex Versaw, back to Daybreak, because we're so glad to have him back. Hopefully. I was going to start singing Baby Shark in the wait time.
Yo. How you been?
I have been well. How are you?
I've been pretty well.
How have you been since last week?
Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've talked to you. 7 whole days.
I know. I really enjoyed last week's interview, and it's really unfortunate that my thing died. But it's at 97%, so I think we're fine.
I think we're good this time.
But last time we talked about a little bit about school, about DS's return to school and their issues with parties and things. We talked from your switch to drums to piano, and just a little bit of that. And we're going to continue that discussion because I could have talked to you for another, 45 minutes. But I'm going to try and remember where we left off. I don't have it to refer to, but when you switched from piano to drums, I seem to remember you saying that from drums to piano, you just enjoyed playing piano more and everything. Which aspect of playing piano did you enjoy more? The actual playing of the song, like improvising? What's your...
Well, as for improvisation, I suck at that, so not that. But I think it was, I enjoyed the ability to make music, and I think you can't really do that with drums. And the other thing is, with drums, I was always at the tail end of knowing what I was doing. There was I was probably the worst drummer in the little group of drummers we had at the school. And there was a lot of I remember in 8th grade we used to do the monthly assemblies. We used to play intro music for that, and every day I would be just given the piece of music we were told and just say, hey, figure it out, you've got 5 minutes. And that was so I try to learn it in 5 minutes, and I'd play it at the assembly. But that was always a little stressful, and it always kind of showed me that I wasn't the best that I could be. And then I was playing piano, and I just enjoyed it a lot more. So that's why I switched over.
I remember that you played a little bit of piano when I was still there, but you were still the main drummer. And I don't think you were the worst drummer. I thought you were pretty good.
Yeah. I was. I'm not sure if I told you this story last week, but in 7th grade we were when I was a percussionist in Connecticut, our band teacher made us learn how to do scales on the mallets, and no one else in the percussion group knew how to do it. And for me, it just sort of clicked. And then I realized that the way the mallet was set up was exactly like the way the piano was set up. So I stole my sister's piano or her keyboard from her room, and I started teaching myself and I kept asking my parents for lessons, and then finally, summer before last summer, we were at a friend's house. They had a piano, and I started playing Bohemian Rhapsody, and they had no clue that I knew how to play that, and that's what convinced them to finally let me get lessons.
Yeah, didn't Layla teach you that?
What?
Didn't Layla teach you that?
Yeah, she did.
Yeah. Oh, that was fun. And you said that you got interested in the piano because of mallets. And and you started teaching yourself. How did you start to teach yourself? Did you start like reading sheet music immediately? Did you just try and figure out scales? Like, what did you try first?
YouTube was my best friend. I was learning how to read sheet music because that was another thing we had to do to pass that class. I was awful at it. I still kind of suck at it. But I used a lot of YouTube and like just tutorials on what notes to play.
Yeah, I could not read piano sheet music. I could, like, if I go like every boy deserves fudge, I could find that out, and I had to write it above the thing. Drum music I can just read, which is actually kind of nice. When you did you try? What was your first song that you tried to learn how to play? "Ode to Joy," or was it something else?
The first song was the Beverly Hills Cop theme, otherwise known as the Crazy Frog song. It's called I think, Foley. That was the first song I learned how to play, and then I learned how to play the Sherlock theme from the BBC show. And then I learned how to I can't remember far back. I learned it was a lot of very simple but popular songs.
That's a good way to start. I took lessons from my dad, and no offense to my dad, I just didn't like playing Bach or Mozart or anything. It just wasn't the reason why I started piano. The reason why I started piano was because my favorite artist is Billy Joel, and I just wanted to play pop music. I wanted to play just regular music, and I didn't get to do that, so I just taught myself that stuff, and then I can play. But that's a good way to start. A lot of kids actually have that issue where they're like, I don't want to play Mozart, so then they just lose interest in it, but they really just want to play pop songs.
Yeah, a few months ago, I started learning how to tackle what's it called, Gymnopédie by some artist I can't pronounce, and I was okay doing it. I wasn't any better or worse at it than any other song. Didn't I just didn't like playing it.
Yeah, while classical music is nice to listen to, it's not fun
to play. I think modern classical style music is better. Like if you look at Bluestone Alley and River Flows in You, those can technically be considered classical, although they were written in the modern era, so
Right.
They have a bit of a twist to them. Those are good, and I'm learning how to play those. But
yeah, like neoclassical. With basic pop songs, what were some? Do you take lessons now for them, or do you still just sort of teach yourself?
it's a combination of both. I learn how to I go to my lessons every Monday, and I go through it with my piano teacher, and he'd say, "Hey, is there any other songs you want to start working on?" And I tell him if I had a song I want to start working on, and then we'd take a look at it and we'd start learning other stuff. But I've also, what day is it? Sunday. Last Friday, I learned how to play the folk song "Oh Susanna" on my own. So there's definitely a combination of me working with my teacher and just figuring it out.
That's good. I take lessons every Thursday now. What happened with me is when I moved here, my dad bought a drum set. The original purpose, I don't know. But we got the drum set, and I just started playing it, because I played a little bit at DS. I just maybe and I just started playing it. I picked up skills that are usually taught to people just by not even knowing what I'm doing. I just picked up how to actually stick correctly and things. So when you taught yourself originally, did you pick up any techniques that later said, oh, you already know how to do this, let's move on to something else then? Like maybe techniques or something?
Yeah, I picked up some patterns and things that I noticed that I didn't have any I didn't know what the words for them were. Like one of the first things I noticed is that a chord was always the first, third, and fifth note. That was something I always noticed. So when I was having trouble finding a chord, I would just do those bass notes, and then I had a system for that. The note in a chord, the note closest to middle C always seemed to be the most prominent note. And so when I was coming up with stuff, I always played it based on that. And there was a bunch of other little like tidbits I picked up on and patterns I picked up on that I didn't quite, I wasn't able to identify until I started doing lessons.
Yeah, it's interesting how much you can pick up without someone actually telling you how to do it.
I mean, people pick up languages without instruction.
It's I can't even like do people can just like listen to someone and say bonjour. I can't do that. But when it comes to like actually playing chords and things, you said that you picked up things and figuring things out. Did you ever try and come up with your own song? Like just try and write something?
I have tried to do that multiple times, but I have not gotten very far. With the exception of last year during TV media, we were supposed to make a trailer for a movie, and we decided to do a horror trailer. And I wrote the music for that trailer.
That sounds. I can't even watch a horror movie. I mean,
it wasn't like it was sort of ominous music. It wasn't like anything incredibly creepy. It was just it gave an ominous feeling.
Yeah, I watched. I tried to. I watched The Ring, the first one.
I in general just know that I am not a horror movie person, so I don't go out seeking to watch them, but I won't necessarily avoid them if they come to me.
I'm not a horror person either, but I want my horror watching position to stop being this and to just because this is my just position when I'm watching a horror movie.
I mean, there was when I was like really young, probably like 11 or 12, so not all that long ago, my friends ended up I was invited to someone's birthday, and my friends ended up watching the 2017 version of It, and that was a mistake because I did not sleep for a little while after that.
Well, I have an interesting story that happened in my life. I don't know why. I hate this movie, Jaws. I, at a young age, watched that movie and was absolutely terrified. Now, the reasoning behind my actions afterwards, I don't understand. But I didn't. First, I was in my house in Westford, Massachusetts, and I thought a shark was going to come up through my bed and eat me in my.
How young were you?
Huh?
How old were you?
Young, like under 10. I'm not sure.
I have actually an opposite story. I really wanted to watch Jaws when I was probably like 7 or 8, but my dad wouldn't let me because he was like, you will be terrified. I watched Jaws when I was 8, and I was and I didn't sleep, and I was like, but Dad, I want to watch it. And eventually I was homesick one day, and I found out that it was on Netflix, so I watched it on Netflix, and I was like, this is what kept my dad out of sleep for a month. I really enjoyed that movie. That was I didn't view that as a horror movie. I just viewed it as an action adventure, almost comedy. I really loved it.
I don't understand people when they watch horror movies and say, "Oh, that was funny." Like what? I don't understand that.
I mean, it was hard to take the shark seriously. And I watched, and then I ended up like getting really into the series, and I watched the first one and the second one, and I tried to watch the third one, but it was trash, so I stopped. And same thing goes for the fourth one. I couldn't finish that one either, so I just sort of wrote those out of the history books, and I only watched the first two.
Yeah, movie sequels in like iconic movies should never be a thing. Like there should never be, for example, a WALL-E 2. That movie is iconic, and you just can't make another one, and you ruin the franchise. Like there's no possible storyline that could possibly make sense with what happened afterwards. Same thing goes for like Up.
Like, oh yeah. I think Jaws is a different Jaws is different than that because the second movie was really good and arguably better than the first. It was just you just need a good director and a good script, and half the time it's not like that. Which
Yeah,
is why series like franchises like Back to the Future I love so much, because it's one of the only trilogies you can call a perfect trilogy.
I would say that generally movies that exceed 3 movies in their sort of set, the ones afterwards just progressively get worse. How was Star Wars? Star Wars, like, okay, the trilogy was good. The trilogy was good. It was based and everything, and sort of made sense. Then they went off the rails. Then they made like 10 more movies, and I would say the quality. Okay, I'm not a movie person. I'll just watch a movie because it's enjoyable. So I'll watch the Star Wars movies, but they aren't good. And the Rise of Skywalker. It's like they were running on top of a Star Destroyer with horses. I mean, like. And Palpatine was all Sith Lords. Like, I don't know.
I think the Rise of Skywalker probably was the most divisive Star Wars film out there, and the reason behind it could have been so good. The problem was half the time J.J. Abrams was trying to clean up the mess that was Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi. So it could have been much better if Rian Johnson had made a good movie, but no.
Yeah, it's just like I would say Rogue One was really good. Rogue One, because it had to fit in a framework. It had to fit between 3 and 4, somewhere there. It had to fit into a movie and end at a certain time. So they weren't able to like go insane. They couldn't really create new characters that would last because they would affect the other movies. So they were forced into a framework, and it made it a really, really good movie. That was it.
I just like the fact that it had a more human touch to it. There was, because the other Star Wars movies, they're humans, but they're not necessarily humans in the fact that they have all superpowers. And I think there was a lot more identifiable approach to the characters in Rogue One.
Well, I feel like also in Rogue One, like probably people are so bored of me talking about Star Wars stuff, but like the characters had depth. Like in some movies, like the Ewoks, I mean, they had no depth. They're just like teddy bears running around with rocks. I mean, there was no depth.
There's nothing wrong with the Ewoks. Fight me.
But like even the robot in Rogue One had depth. It was funny. There was a story. I mean, that was my favorite character, the robot. But every single person in that movie, the general and just everyone was just great. Wait,
no, I agree.
But yeah, it's just that movie was really good. Anyways, we probably talked about this for 10 minutes, just Star Wars stuff. I actually didn't finish my Jaws story. What happened was I then slept in the hallway, and I didn't know why I did this. Like, it's less protection because I'm already on the floor now. It doesn't make any sense. Anyways,
human mind is a great and not great thing.
It's just like a blah. Humans, while they can be good, I mean, just like they do so much stuff not good.
Yeah. I was always when I was like probably 6, I saw Sharknado, and I didn't sleep for a while after that.
That movie caused you not to sleep? Sharknado.
Well, you realize that I was 6 years old at the time.
Oh, that movie was so stupid. I'm sorry.
And then remember I watched it again when I was like 10, and I was like, really? Really?
It's the dumbest movie of all time. I mean, like,
I think I never paid attention to like the graphics beforehand, and I was when I watched it again when I was like 10, I was too busy laughing at the graphics.
I mean, like when I was your age, I was terrified of Jaws, and you were laughing at Jaws. You were terrified of Sharknado. I'm just like laughing at Sharknado because it's just stupid. Like, why they made more of them? Like, they have like I don't know. I know there's a third one. Like, I don't know how many there are, but like
there's 5. There's like 5 Sharknado movies.
How much funding was dedicated to Sharknado. There are people like, you know what, this is a good movie. Let's pour more money
Well,
into
I
this.
think the thing about the Sci-Fi Network is that it's a type of movie that's so bad it's good. It's a movie that knows what it is. So I think when you have a movie that like knows what it is, it creates a little more enjoyable experience because it's not trying to be anything else. And I think that's why that it just became they got the funding that they needed because it was a good idea and it was a cheesy, corny sci-fi thing, and they stuck to that the entire time.
Yeah, it's just one of those movies where it's so bad it's good. But like, I often am thinking in my head. This is probably the last part of our conversation because it's 10:41. But I often think in my head of like the board meetings where they come up with stuff. Like, who suggested this? Like, or I might even wonder, like, if I'm trying like food or something, I'm like, who was the first? Like, if you're like the first person to see this, you're just like for example, the banana. You see a banana hanging off of a tree, and you're like, you know what? I'm gonna peel that thing. I'm gonna peel off the outer edges and then stick the thing in my mouth. Like, who thought of all these things, or just like any of the foods we eat? It's like,
so, do you know? It's a web series by the YouTube channel Screen Rant. Do you know this web series Pitch Meetings?
Yes. Oh, I watch this all the time. I watch the Star Wars ones too. So
yeah, I saw them a little while ago, and you reminded me of them. I was like, you should probably check that out if that's what you enjoy.
Yeah, they're pretty funny actually.
I enjoy them. What are we talking about? You're talking about what, bananas?
I don't know anymore. Oh god, we're gonna move on. I think
that'd be a great idea.
Before this gets way out of control. And we have 3 more minutes, so we're gonna go to our game, and we're gonna do the same game we did last week. We're just gonna, because I had more planned, but we didn't get to them, so I'm gonna finish them out.
Awesome. What was the game again? Like, what's your favorite of each category or something?
Yeah, it's called Playing Favorites. It's my favorite card for the game. It's this. I love this so much. I call it a card. It's the visual.
Yeah.
I love this so much. This didn't take me that long, but I just like, idea. But
that's generally, you know how Michael Scott has his like recorder he carries around with him.
Yeah.
He has an idea.
Oh yeah. They're not gonna give me thinking about The Office. Oh no. Okay, I'm on downward spiral into insanity. Okay. All right. So Playing Favorites, you know the rules, but for those who don't, it's basically I say a number of times. It is to do with this. The topics we went over last week was your favorite movie, TV show episode, which can be different. But that's the only ones we got. So we got 1, 2, 3, 5 more. All right. What's your favorite song?
Favorite song? Oh God. No comment. I don't have one.
All right. Mine is, I change it so often.
It does.
Right now it's Crash Into Me, Dave Matthews Band.
Never.
You should listen to it. It's amazing. But before that, it was Beautiful Night, Paul McCartney. So if you don't know, do you have a favorite band then? Like,
I have a favorite band. Probably The Script.
Oh, okay. That's Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mine is Billy Joel. All of my friends know this.
Yep.
What's your favorite time of day?
Time of day? Definitely like dusk. When we have a really nice view of the sunset from our porch, and whenever it's really nice, we eat outside, and it's always a fun time.
Now, I'm going to make a very corny pun, but
my
favorite day is Daybreak. Okay, moving on. Unfortunately, the camera... But, all right, what's your favorite... last 2 ones. What's your favorite day of the week?
Day of the week? Saturday. Of course.
Really? I that's a good one because it's the first day of the weekend, so you realize you have another day of the weekend left. And Sunday, you're like, oh crap, school tomorrow, and it's just like Saturday's that one nice day.
I think I'm joined with like 75% of the human population on this one.
Yeah. Your favorite day of the week besides weekends?
Favorite day of the week besides weekends? Wednesdays.
Really? Why?
Because Wednesday is the day that we don't do anything.
Oh, right. Yeah. I think mine is Thursday because Monday are like crap. I have a whole week to go. Tuesday, you're not even halfway through. Bad things happen. Wednesday, you're like, I'm halfway through, but I still have 2 more days to go with this. Thursday, you're like, okay, I have 1 day left, and it's going to be great. And depending on the school day, it could be really awesome. And for some reason, my shirt is like just white right now. And you're like, okay, majority of the week behind me. Friday, you're like, crap, I have homework now to do over the weekend. So Thursday is that sweet spot. The final question, or statement, whatever. What's your favorite indoor activity?
Indoor activity. I don't know. Probably reading a good book.
And outdoor.
Outdoor activity. I like running. Soccer.
Oh, that's good. Sounds great. That's all of the topics I have. That's all the time we have, and I would like have you back on every week. This is awesome.
I'm flattered.
Yes, I very much enjoy this. I haven't talked to you in a year, and we had a sort of rivalry. Well, I had a rivalry. I don't know if you did, but we sort of got into arguments a lot. But this is nice actually. So, but I'd like to thank you so much for coming on. If you would ever again.
All right.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Bye. All right. So that was my interview with Alex Versaw. That conversation with him last week and this week was absolutely amazing. I really apologize to people on YouTube who can't see last week's video. It was really fun. And I'm sure the people on Instagram know what I'm talking about. It was such an enjoyable interview. This one was amazing. I actually planned 0 questions for this show today, and I think it worked out somewhat okay. I'll probably plan 1 question again like I did last week, just for a more based response. But with Alex, it was so fun. We talked about Jaws and Sharknado. Like, who would come on? It was just so fun. And he's probably one of my favorite guests of all time. But yeah, so thank you so much for coming on. Thank you to Caroline Scalzulli. Again, love the last name, for coming on. I'll see her Thursday, my only day of school next week, in school. But yeah, and for some information on Daybreak Stories, the first episode is November 1st, which is a Sunday. And I released a video on YouTube describing what it is. It basically, I'm telling stories of things that happened on Daybreak. So, for example, we'll be talking about what happened where none of my guests showed up at the beginning of the show. That'll be a story. The beginning of Daybreak is a story and everything. So there's 18 episodes planned, and that's happening in the months of November and December. Now, this is going to be a detailed conversation. In the months of November and December, there will be 0 Daybreak episodes. None. So we'll be sort of shutting down Daybreak 2nd edition for 2 months in the months of November and December. But in place of that, we'll be having 2 episodes a week of Daybreak Stories, 1 on Sunday and 1 on Wednesday. And I will try to release them at 7 p.m. onto YouTube. They will not be live. So if you won't see me live on Sunday or Wednesday at 7 to do a show, it's not. It'll not be on Instagram either. It will only be available on YouTube. So if you want to see Daybreak Stories, please go check out the website. I'll link that in somewhere. I'll put that in a post on Instagram or my story. It has all the info on the show, all of our achievements, all the guests we've had, all the games, the future episodes of Daybreak Stories that will be coming, the calendar. All of the episodes of Daybreak are also linked there. So please go check that out. And please go check out and all of my contact information, public contact information. So if you want to contact me, it's all there as well. And then please go check out the YouTube channel, Daybreak starring Nicholas Sadowski. it's has all the episodes on it. It has trailers and everything. It has Daybreak story stuff and has updates. So please go take a look at that if you have any questions. Also, you can contact me if you have any questions because I'm available like 24/7, so it's fine. But to not let this run ridiculously over time, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching Daybreak. It's been a pleasure today. It's been a pleasure for the past summer, and we have 2 more episodes of this, then Daybreak Stories, and then we return January. I want to say 3rd. I could be wrong there. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching, everybody, and I'll see you next time at Daybreak. Bye, everybody.